Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, the apocalyptic images after a massive landslide in the Himalayas causes part of a glacier to crash into a river. The catastrophic event then setting floodwaters more than 100 feet high through villages in Nepal. Entire buildings and bridges were swept away by walls of mud, water, and debris. Horrifying images of people trying to outrun the disaster. Dozens of American tourists tonight among the hundreds of people missing. Tonight, the outpouring of affection for Dolly Parton. Well, we're now learning about her brief battle with cancer as tributes pour in from around the world. The King's Guard playing 9 to 5 outside Buckingham Palace. The Empire State Building bathed in pink. Tonight, emotional messages from Taylor Swift and Dolly Parton's goddaughter, a heartbroken Miley Cyrus.
I'm Will Reeve at Dollywood in Tennessee, where fans at the theme park continue to mourn the death and celebrate the life of Dolly Parton.
And we also remember actor Tim Curry.
How'd you do,
Best known for his role in the cult classic The Rocky Horror Picture Show, not to mention masterful turns playing villains and over-the-top characters in Home Alone 2, Clue, and It. Also the deadly police shooting of a college student in the Northeast after he knocked on the door of the wrong house. His family now demanding answers. The groundbreaking settlement involving Facebook and Instagram that will bring major changes for how teenagers will use the platforms. Parent company Meta agreeing to pay more than $17 billion over claims of getting children hooked on social media. And finally, for tonight's Prime Playlist Shuffle, Grammy-nominated artist, producer, and multi-instrumentalist Masego is back with his third studio album. It's called Fix Your Face.
I wasn't planning to speak about the tragedy in my life, but I think naturally it comes out in the music eventually.
From ABC News, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, I'm Perry Russman for Linsey. Thank you for streaming with us. We begin with the terrifying scene unfolding in Nepal. Hundreds of people are missing, including dozens of American tourists after catastrophic flooding. A warning, these images are hard to watch. Video shows a massive wall of water destroying everything in its path. Homes and bridges just swept away. Officials say a landslide was detected along the Nepal-Tibet border. Scientists believe a crumbling glacier could have played a role in all of this. Haunting images of people desperately running for their lives. Local police there say so far more than 150 people were found dead, and that number is expected to rise. A massive search and rescue operation is now underway as crews dig through mud and debris, searching for survivors. Chief International Correspondent James Longman leads us off.
Apocalyptic scenes tonight showing crowds desperately running for their lives as a catastrophic mountain of water comes crashing in, sweeping away entire villages in Nepal, near the border with Tibet in the Himalayas. Hundreds vanishing in seconds. Nepalese officials say at least 47 American tourists among scores still missing tonight. ABC News confirming 22 Americans on a pilgrimage from Tennessee were inside this building when the unstoppable wall of mud and debris blasted through, wiping away everything in its path. Screams of horror as this car full of people looks out the rear window, that 160-foot torrent of water chasing them down at 40 miles per hour. Buildings toppled, this suspension bridge washed away. Tonight, officials say more than 155 people have been killed, but that death toll only expected to soar. The impacted region popular for hiking. The urgent rescue effort right now. Watch as this man trapped on a roof waves down a helicopter, dangerously climbing aboard the raging rapids below. Rescuers using a front loader to carry this elderly victim to safety. Survivors forming a human chain. This man covered in mud, clinging to the back of a rescue worker. Tonight, experts say this horrific tragedy was triggered by a massive landslide, barreling down the Himalayas, hitting a glacier and melting a ton of ice along the way.
When all this rock comes down, has a lot of energy, it warms up that ice, creates more waters.
James joins us now. James, incredible images of this wall of water. People at first thought that this was caused by an earthquake.
Yeah, Perry, I think just so catastrophic that people were searching for answers. But what we know now, according to experts, is that it released as much energy as a 5.2 magnitude earthquake. And some estimates put that wall of water as high as 160 feet. It's left behind a trail of destruction. And so now the mud and the debris is complicating the search and rescue efforts. Perry.
James Longman, thank you. Nearly 25 years after the deadliest terror attack in history, the alleged mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, will face justice in court. A military judge has finally set a trial date for the now 61-year-old. The case has had delays over evidence and claims of torture at the hands of the CIA. Aaron Katersky joins us now. So, Aaron, what can you tell us about the start of this trial?
With the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks now just days away, Perry, a military judge is finally setting a trial date for the alleged mastermind. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has been held at Guantanamo Bay for the last 2 decades. His case endlessly delayed. He tried actually to plead guilty, avoid a possible death sentence 2 years ago. The Pentagon rejected that. And so now this military judge is setting a trial date for June of 2028. That has to be a relief for some of the families of the nearly 3,000 people killed in those attacks a quarter century ago, Perry.
Do we know why this case has been delayed for so long?
The main reason is the allegations that Mohammed and his co-defendants have made about being tortured in CIA prisons as they were captured in Pakistan. And it's still not clear how the military tribunal is going to handle those kinds of allegations and how that will factor in. There's almost no doubt about Mohammed's guilt. He has boasted of planning the 9/11 attacks from A to Z. He has sworn his allegiance to Osama bin Laden in open court. But once he goes on trial, the judge will still have to set some parameters about his allegations of being tortured and the evidence that has so far largely been kept classified.
Aaron Katersky, thank you. Now to the major settlement of the landmark civil lawsuit against Meta. It's an $18 billion agreement with more than 24 states. It cut short the California trial over whether Meta intentionally got children addicted to its platforms and fueled a mental health crisis. Elizabeth Schulze has the story.
Tonight, social media giant Meta agreeing to pay up to $18 billion in a landmark deal that will make sweeping changes to how young people use Instagram and Facebook. Meta reaching a settlement with 48 states, ending a federal case claiming the company used its technology and social media platforms to entice, engage, and ultimately ensnare youth and teens.
This is a major moment to clean up an industry that has been hurting our kids.
As part of the agreement, for users under age 18, Instagram and Facebook will set 2-hour daily time limits, block the apps from midnight to 6 a.m., hide like counts, and ban some beauty filters.
Finally, something was done.
Outside the California courtroom, Victoria Hinks emotional. She says her 16-year-old daughter, Alexandra, took her own life after getting addicted to social media.
No amount of money is ever going to bring my beautiful daughter back.
Meta denies any wrongdoing, saying in a statement tonight, "We want to get this right for parents and teens," and calling on TikTok and YouTube to make similar changes right away.
Meta still faces thousands of ongoing lawsuits from school districts and families. The company tonight vowing to keep fighting in court. Harry.
Elizabeth Schulze, thank you for more perspective on the settlement of this landmark case. We are joined now by California Attorney General Rob Bonta. He was part of the coalition that filed the lawsuit against Meta. Thank you for your time tonight, sir. So this settlement has now been approved by a judge. How did the two sides come together to make this deal?
Well, we were talking in settlement negotiations, trying to get to a resolution. It takes two parties to want to get to a resolution to be able to do that. But meanwhile, we had our litigation going, and we were winning time and time again. We were having just really strong days in court, devastating days for Meta in court during our trial, and we eventually arrived at an ultimate settlement. But it came with the pressure of the litigation hanging over the head of Meta. That Meta, I believe, needed a trial, a date for accountability and justice to be delivered. And I think the prior two cases in Los Angeles and in New Mexico, where they lost and their witnesses performed poorly and there were revelations about their conduct that hurt them, were helpful as well here. So this is a milestone resolution. It is a milestone moment. It is transformative. It is unprecedented, and it is historic in terms of the commitments that Meta is making to reduce harm for kids. Kids have been suffering. I saw Miss Hinks, who I know, who tragically lost her daughter. Unfortunately, she is not the only grieving parent out there who's lost a child, whose child has been suffering. And this goes a long way towards addressing the harms that Meta has imposed on America's children for too long.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Meta does not have to admit any wrongdoing, and they're vowing to fight other cases aggressively. So do you think Meta is really taking responsibility here?
You know, it's disappointing, but it is expected that they deny liability as they pay $17 billion, as they make historic commitments. So what they say and what they do, I think, speak to very different things. They wouldn't be engaged in this settlement, making these commitments, paying this amount of money if they didn't do something wrong. So they can say whatever they want. But what they do and what they commit to is what we're focused on, making sure that kids are safer, healthier, that harm is reduced, that the anxiety, depression, body image issues, addictive traits and learning loss that ends. So I'm not sure where Meta's head is at, but I know that they've been losing in court time and time again. They need the pressure. They needed the 51 AGs in the District of Columbia and the territories to come together to mount this case against them before they decided to make these changes. But they're making these changes, and they're paying money that will help address the mental health harms to kids. That's where that money will go. So today is an important day as we continue to make progress to protect our children.
I want to get to what Florida's AG had to say. They are rejecting this settlement, writing on social media the payouts are peanuts compared to the profound harms Meta's profit-driven, addictive features inflicted on kids, and a slap on the wrist for $1 trillion corp that'll pay more to lawyers than to the states. What's your response to that?
I think they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're focusing on money. And $17 billion here, if you want to talk about money, is a historic, unprecedented, highest type of financial payment of its kind, I think, in history. But put that aside, the focus for us is how we keep our kids safe, what business practices Meta ends, and what they adopt to make our kids safer. So I think Florida, unfortunately, is focusing on the wrong thing. They're talking about a payout when they should be talking about ending practices that hurt kids. There is science behind this. There is data behind this. There are scientists who've talked about it. And it is exactly what we've addressed here, making sure that there are limits on how long a child can be on the Meta platform, on Instagram or Facebook, making sure that there are the blocks during hours where they should be sleeping, and make sure there's no notifications when they should be sleeping or learning, and they shouldn't be scrolling, making sure we don't have beauty filters and likes that hurt our kids' mental health. So I respectfully suggest that the Florida AG is focusing on the wrong thing, and that they should be focusing on the steps taken to reduce harm to our kids' mental health, not the money.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this deal. So this is an $18 billion agreement, but more than $5 billion of that money is contingent on other platforms like TikTok and YouTube implementing restrictions. Do you think those platforms are going to go along with this?
Yes, whether they like it or not. I think, I hope that they will adopt what we've prepared here in this very important blueprint and get the whole industry on board with these practices that are better for our kids' mental health, that help reduce harms. But if they don't, we will take the action that we need to take, like we did here, to make sure that our kids are safe. We will not back down or slow down when it comes to protecting our children. So they need to come on board. This is a new day. Like I said, this is an inflection point and an inflection moment where things are changing. And we will be requiring this conduct, these features, these designs, these products that knowingly hurt our kids to stop. And they can come along voluntarily and be part of the collective effort to clean up this industry, or we can force them to do it. And we will go whatever way is necessary.
So just to be clear, if they do not go along with this, if TikTok and YouTube does not go along with this, you'll sue them?
Well, we have a lawsuit against TikTok, so that's done already. We are in litigation now. Yes, YouTube were interested in making sure that they comply as well. Perhaps they can avoid litigation by coming in compliance, but I do foresee litigation on the table.
Attorney General Rob Bonta, thank you for your time tonight. Always appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
An outpouring of affection for Dolly Parton here in the U.S. and around the world. Today, fans paying tribute to her at Dollywood Amusement Park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. You can see here flowers and balloons were left at her statue there with the guitar. And today we are hearing from her goddaughter, Miley Cyrus, sharing an emotional message on social media. Will Reeve is in Dollywood.
Around the world tonight, an outpouring of love and gratitude for Dolly Parton. Look at what they did for her at Buckingham Palace. King Charles's Guard with their own rendition of Dolly's hit song 9 to 5. The royal family saying Dolly brought joy, comfort, and inspiration to so many. A British production of 9 to 5 the musical last night announcing Dolly's passing to the audience.
We would like to take a moment to remember the remarkable Dolly Parton, who has sadly passed away today.
There were gasps in the crowd as the cast then dedicated the show to Dolly.
As we begin, we dedicate tonight's performance to Dolly Parton.
In New York City at precisely 9:25 last night, a nod to her song 9 to 5. The Empire State Building turning pink to honor Dolly. Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from Dolly's goddaughter, Miley Cyrus. Cyrus saying, "I have an angel by my side. I always have. And to all of us, we're in this loss together." Taylor Swift thanking Dolly, who paved the way for so many other artists, saying, "For the tightrope she walked so that young girls like me could grow up dreaming of joining the circus too." Across the country, fans turning out to honor Dolly, from her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, to the gates of her Nashville home, to the stage of the Grand Ole Opry.
In my coat of many colors, my mama made for me.
In her hometown of Sevierville, Tennessee, a moment of silence. Down the road at her beloved theme park, Dollywood, in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, where she created thousands of jobs and hometown pride, the loss feels personal. She felt like family.
You just feel like you've lost a part of your family. Her genuine heart, her genuine spirit, she never pretended to be somebody she wasn't.
It was just a few years back. I sat down with Dolly right here at Dollywood, and she had a message for her fans and for those who believe in her.
I just want people to be their better self. So I just like to kind of bring a little sunshine if I can.
And tonight it's clear Dolly Parton is already inspiring the next generation.
How could we all be a little bit more like Dolly Parton?
Trying to give back and not trying to just take it all for yourself. Making sure that everyone feels good about themselves. Make sure that everyone has a little bit of uniqueness in their lives.
Will joins us now from Dollywood in Tennessee. What are we learning about the plans for Dolly's funeral?
Well, Perry, Dolly knew what she wanted, and before she passed from that brief battle with cancer, she had already laid out her plans. She'll be laid to rest alongside her late husband of nearly 59 years, Carl Dean, after a small private service in Nashville. As always, Dolly Parton knew what she wanted, Perry.
That's for sure. Will Reeve, thank you. Reaction continues to pour in from across the entertainment industry. ABC News had the chance to sit down with Billy Ray Cyrus to get his reaction to Dolly's death. Take a listen here.
I was opening shows for Dolly. Achy Breaky Heart was just hitting around the world, and I got on the front end of the bill of opening up for Dolly, and we were playing Chicago, Illinois in early '92, and I'd still not met her yet. And the tabloids at the time, in particular the National Enquirer, just run this big front page of Dolly and I on the cover and saying that we was romantic. I'd never even met her, and I asked my manager if I could go and apologize and meet Dolly, and I walked into her dressing room after my manager set it up again in Chicago, and I came in and said, "Miss Dolly, I'm so sorry about this," and handed the tabloid there in front of her, and she looked at it and looked at me and winked and said, "Honey, that stuff sells records." And she didn't exactly say stuff, but I'm being very nice. And the second that Dolly met Miley, it was like looking at one person instead of two, and they became one. And people say, who premeditated, the godmother. And let me tell you, it was just kind of so natural. No one had to proclaim it. It just was. They were just that close. And when you looked at them, you could just feel it, that they loved each other. And that's the way the story goes.
As we continue to remember Dolly Parton, we are joined tonight by Martha Ackman. She wrote the book, Ain't Nobody's Fool, The Life and Times of Dolly Parton. It was published last year. Martha, thank you for coming on. So much has been made of Dolly as a unifier, especially in the times now. What do you think led to her universal appeal?
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's her positive outlook. I think it's her sense of humor, her remarkable sense of humor. I think it's the way that she does uplift and give comfort to people. But I also think that part of it comes from her very early years. She was raised in her grandfather's Pentecostal church on Locust Ridge in Sevier County, Tennessee. And she knew a lot of scripture, and one particular verse that meant a great deal to her was "Judge not, lest you be judged." She actually worked it into the lyric of one of her songs. So I think that non-judgmental attitude, people felt, and it resonated with them. She knew people knew that she respected them.
In your book, you talk about the beginning of Dolly's career in Nashville. Did not have immediate success, a lot of rejection. How was she able to push forward with that, do you think?
Well, she knew who she was, and she knew what she wanted to do. Remarkably, when she signed with the record label Monument Records, they wanted her to be a pop singer. And she sang kind of novelty songs that didn't go anywhere. I always felt that her heart wasn't quite in it. But then as a songwriter, she had a big hit, Put It Off Until Tomorrow. And she said, okay, now I've got the ammunition I need to go into the head of the record company and say, at least give me a try and let me try to do country. And once she crossed that bridge, there was no turning back.
What was she like away from the cameras when she was Dolly the person versus Dolly the artist?
Well, this is interesting. One of the things that frustrated me as a biographer, but as a human being, I respected a great deal, was that Dolly did not tell everything. When she was just beginning to make it big, her mother said, always save something for yourself. And so she really prioritized that privacy. And there were some things that she just knew could not be commodified. And, we live in a world today where we know what every celebrity had for breakfast practically. But Dolly kept many things private and to herself. So when the wigs came off and the high heels were kicked off, that's something I think we'll never know.
Why do you think she was so giving?
Why was she so giving?
Yeah, I mean, she did so much with medical research and disaster relief. Her career at the end was pretty much made by all the money that she donated to all of us.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. You can point to so many things. She began by buying high school band uniforms, first for her Sevier County High School, and then she would buy band uniforms. I think she continued that her entire life. And because she always thought money should not be used to accumulate personal wealth, but to do something for the world at large. Dolly could have been a billionaire, but she gave away so much money. And specifically by starting the Imagination Library that provides books for children from the first month they are born, every single month, until the time they enter school and can get a library card. Over 330 million books to kids in English-speaking countries all over the world. That is her primary legacy, I think.
Martha Ackman, thank you for your time tonight.
My pleasure.
And you guys can watch ABC's one-hour special, Dolly Parton, an American original, right now on Disney Plus and Hulu. Another passing of note tonight, we have also learned that actor Tim Curry has died, best known for his roles in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Clue, It, and Home Alone 2. A master of portraying villains and over-the-top characters. Here's ABC's Trevor All.
How'd you do, Tim Curry rocketed to fame as the gender-bending mad scientist Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. His career spanning 5 decades on stage and screen. The terrifying Pennywise the Clown in Stephen King's It.
Oh, yes. They float.
The fast-talking butler Wadsworth in Clue, and he brought his mischievous charm to classic family movies as the con man Rooster in Annie and the exasperated concierge in Home Alone 2.
There's an insane guest with a gun!
Curry suffered a stroke in 2012 and battled health issues for years after. But that defining Rocky Horror role lives on. Theaters still hosting midnight screenings of the cult classic, a tradition started back in the 70s with audiences dressing up to watch over and over.
Don't dream it.
Curry told ABC back in 1978 why he felt that film resonated with so many.
Well, I think if it has a message at all, it's Don't Dream It, Be It, which is one of the songs in the movie. You know, get on with your fantasies.
Perry, Tim Curry had said his career went beyond his wildest dreams. He said, quote, "I've had a wonderful life and I know it." He was 80 years old. Perry.
Trevor, thank you. We move on now to the deadly shooting involving police of a college student outside Philadelphia. His parents say he knocked at the wrong door after a night out with friends. Police then responding to a 911 call about an attempted break-in, an officer opening fire. Here's Matt Rivers.
Tonight, Erin Peischer is demanding answers after her son Glenn was shot and killed by police in what appears to be a tragic misunderstanding.
It hasn't sank in yet. It's unbelievable.
Peischer was out celebrating a friend's 21st birthday in Upper Pottsgrove, Pennsylvania Saturday night when the group decided to move the party from the bar to a friend's house. Friends say Peischer decided to walk.
Made a wrong turn, I guess, and ended up at the wrong house. After having a few drinks, he didn't know that, and so he was knocking on the back door saying, "Hey, let me in."
Authorities say the residents called 911, and when police arrived, an encounter ensued and police fired at Peischer, fatally striking him.
Within a few minutes, the cop showed up and shot him. He was unarmed.
Glenn Peischer's friends and family called him Bubba. He was 22 years old and loved baseball, set to start his senior year at St. Elizabeth University in New Jersey this week.
He was just happy-go-lucky, no care in the world, and I'm going to miss that.
Perry, the local district attorney's office is investigating, though it remains unclear, at least for now, why police opened fire. Perry.
All right, Matt Rivers, thank you. The masked man who is accused of terrorizing more than a dozen people in Philadelphia has been arrested. The U.S. Marshal Service says 22-year-old Zymir Hughes was brought into custody in Las Vegas. Officials say Hughes had been in Philadelphia for several weeks but fled earlier this month. Investigators believe Hughes had been living in Vegas since February. He is facing multiple charges, including aggravated assault, making terroristic threats, and reckless endangerment. He is awaiting to be extradited from Vegas to Philadelphia. A federal judge lifted a block on President Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots. This comes after Monday's Supreme Court ruling that allows Trump to implement parts of his order. The Department of Homeland Security will now build a federal citizenship list and give that to the states. The order also instructs the Department of Justice to target state officials who give ballots to non-citizens. The U.S. Postal Service will now direct states to follow certain mail-in ballot and tracking requirements. Coming up, a Texas city approved an $11 million settlement for the family of a young black woman shot and killed by police nearly 7 years ago. We speak with the sister of Tatiana Jefferson. Plus, startling new data shows that immigration arrests soared last month. We'll examine that by the numbers. And the FDA has approved a breakthrough drug to treat advanced pancreatic cancer. In a sweeping immigration crackdown by the Trump administration, the State Department says it has paused all proceedings of immigrant visas as officers receive training on vetting applicants more comprehensively and consistently. It comes as new government data shows ICE arrests last month were the highest since 2022. An ABC News analysis of the new data is tonight's By the Numbers. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested nearly 47,000 people in July. That marks a 15% jump in arrests from a month earlier and a 70% increase from February. So far this year, ICE has made nearly 250,000 arrests nationwide. Of the people detained this year, 40% had no criminal history. Nearly 29% were convicted criminals. And if we look at those with criminal convictions, 7.1% had a violent felony conviction. Texas leads the U.S. by far with the highest number of ICE arrests this year, with more than 57,000 apprehensions. As for cities, Dallas leads the way with at least 8,000 arrests so far this year. Since the start of President Trump's second term in office, ICE has made more than 548,000 arrests, and of those detained, more than 434,000 were removed. All right, coming up, after a 3-year hiatus, Grammy-nominated artist Masego has a new album out. He is back on tour and joins us to talk about it. And the 12-year-old Little Leaguer smashing records. That story coming up. You're watching Prime. Here's a look at the stories making headlines right now. Hundreds of people are feared dead and hundreds more missing in Nepal after a catastrophic flood swept through the country's border region with Tibet. Video shows a massive wall of mud, rock, and water racing through villages, sweeping away buildings, bridges, and roads. Authorities say the flooding was the aftermath of a landslide caused possibly by a massive glacier breaking apart. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing. A U.S. district judge is blocking Attorney General in Texas Ken Paxton from enforcing the law that is restricting some drag performances. The judge ruled for a second time that the law is unconstitutional, saying it violates the First Amendment. His ruling cited Dolly Parton as an example of performances that could have been targeted. Paxton says he will appeal the decision. The NFL is ending the Pro Bowl as we know it. The league says there will no longer be a standalone game of any kind. The NFL will now make the Pro Bowl an individual performance award in place of the games. The players will be celebrated at an event in February. The selection process stays the same. In some other sports news, the hits keep on coming for Kinley Rasmus. The 12-year-old pitcher and shortstop is making history one hit at a time after setting the record for the most hits by a girl at the Little League World Series. She's also thrown 14 strikeouts throughout the entire tournament. She is the daughter of former MLB pitcher Corey Rasmus. All right, coming up, a settlement was approved for the family of Tatiana Jefferson, who was shot and killed by an officer through the window of her Fort Worth home. We speak with her sister and the family's attorney. And Bill Gates does an about face now issuing a major warning about AI. In 2019, Tatiana Jefferson, a 28-year-old black woman, was shot and killed through the window of her home in Texas. She was shot by a Fort Worth police officer named Aaron Dean. Dean was at the home after a neighbor noticed Jefferson's front door was left open late at night. During the trial, Dean claimed he thought he came upon a burglary in progress. Dean never announced himself as an officer, and after seeing his flashlight, Jefferson feared he was a burglar. She went and got her gun. That's when Dean opened fire through the glass, killing her in front of her 8-year-old nephew, Zion. The two were playing video games together. It was captured on police body camera video. Dean was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison for manslaughter, and yesterday the Fort Worth City Council unanimously approved an $11.5 million settlement to the Jefferson family. Prime anchor Linsey Davis spoke to Tatiana's sister Ashley Carr and the family's attorney Lee Merritt.
Ashley Carr, Tatiana Jefferson's sister, and Lee Merritt, the family's attorney, both join us now. We really so appreciate you both being here. Ashley, I'd like to start with you. And in a statement, you said that this is a rare instance in which a family has received accountability, both criminally and civilly, following the killing of their loved one by a police officer. What are some of the emotions that you're feeling right now?
It's a mix of emotions. You know, you feel joy, you feel sadness, you feel humbleness. You know, sometimes I feel a little, you know, why my sister? You know, so those types of feelings are going on. But it's so many emotions that I'm still processing. And
Tatiana's nephew Zion, as we mentioned, was there that fateful night. How's he doing today?
Zion has improved a lot since that time. He had a lot of emotional issues that he has been working through the process, working with his therapist, working with League, you know, different mentors that he have. And he has come a long way. Yes, he still has some work to do, but being a teenager with a traumatic experience, I think he's doing great.
And Mr. Mayor, do you blame Aaron Dean alone for the shooting, or could better officer training in Fort Worth have prevented this incident?
It has to go towards the policies of the city of Fort Worth itself. He received a call from a non-emergency hotline, and they were trained within the department to treat those non-emergency calls as burglaries in progress, to give a military response where officers do not announce themselves. That failure is the city's, and it belongs to both Aaron Dean and the policies that make this kind of death and tragedy commonplace here in the United States.
What kind of changes would you like to see implemented?
Well, we want to see a demilitarization of our policing in general. You know, there's no other nation in the developed world that polices its citizens by killing and incarcerating so many of them. So for a non-emergency call, like the neighbor James made in this case, we want to see officers, agents of the state who are trained to respond domestically, to announce themselves like you would in any other modern or developed nation. So that's what I mean. This case is a perfect example of demilitarization of our police force. You know, we were pointing out that we heard about this case. The family called me about this case the same day another officer was convicted for killing someone in their home in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and that was the case of Botham Judge. So this is just far too common, and I do believe it's attributed to the militarization in general of our police. We rely too heavily on shooting and killing and incarcerating people to deal with domestic disputes.
Ashley, you founded the Tatiana Project in the wake of your sister's death, which provides free science, technology, engineering, arts, and math education for youth in under-resourced communities. Has being able to give back in the name of your sister helped you heal in part?
I wouldn't say it helped me heal. It helped me keep going through the journey. Those children, exposing them to different things. It's like I see a little Tatiana in all of them. And it helped me push through this journey. And I know that it'll help me keep going as well in the process.
The world knows Tatiana at this point because of how she died. What do you wish that people knew about how she lived?
She was an amazing person. She was an anime lover. She loved gaming. She was in the choir in high school and middle school and college. She was in the band in high school and middle school. She was an all-around wonderful person. Yes, she was my little sister, but she came with a big force all the time.
Ashley and Lee, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us.
Linsey, thank you for having us.
Our thanks to Linsey for that. Coming up, a medical emergency in the cockpit forces a flight to make an emergency landing. Details on the pilot who needed to be taken to a hospital. And we're going to sit down with the musical artist Masego, who is back with a brand new album. We're going to talk about the inspirations behind it. Welcome back. Bill Gates issues a startling warning about artificial intelligence. The Food and Drug Administration approves an effective cancer treatment. And Venus and Serena are making a surprise return to the tennis court. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown. Bill Gates is warning we are blowing it on artificial intelligence. In a 6,000-word essay, the Microsoft co-founder says the computer industry he championed is now a global threat, arguing that, quote, AI will either be the greatest equalizer ever invented or the worst source of injustice. He says the technology is advancing faster than governments and society can keep up. Gates says he is in a state of shock as to why there's not more urgency on AI. He says self-regulation championed by many in the industry and the White House is not working. He says he will gladly debate anyone opposing mandatory reviews of any AI system that could be weaponized to unleash a pandemic. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are reportedly back in the UK. According to the BBC, the couple landed in Birmingham, arriving with their two children, 7-year-old Prince Archie and 5-year-old Princess Lilibet. They are expected to start school there soon. The family had lived in California since 2020, when Harry and Meghan publicly stepped back from their royal duties. They plan to stay overseas for an extended period of time while their two children attend school. Harry and Meghan have not spoken publicly about the return to the UK. Their spokesperson declined to comment to ABC News. The FDA has approved a new targeted drug treatment for pancreatic cancer, and it's being called a breakthrough. A daily pill called Razong was found to effectively slow tumor growth and potentially prolong life in patients who have the hard-to-treat cancer. It doubled the average survival rate in clinical trials to just over 13 months. Scientists say they hope this new type of targeted treatment can be used for other cancers. The legendary Williams sisters, Serena and Venus, are heading back to the U.S. Open. Tournament organizers say they were given a wild card entry. The sisters have won 14 major doubles titles together. They last played at the U.S. Open in 2022. Venus will also play in the singles draw. A Delta flight from L.A. to Boston declared an emergency diverting to Detroit after the captain reported a medical issue.
This is the captain. I'm the one that's ill. I'm going to taxi the jet to the gate, and then I need to go to the hospital.
This happened earlier this week. The plane landed safely and the captain was taken to the hospital. Another crew continued the flight with the 147 passengers on board. A happy ending for one lucky dog who was rescued from a drainage pipe in Porterville, California. That's about 70 miles north of Fresno. Fire crews managed to flush the dog out, grabbing it as the water pushed the dog out of the pipe.
Nice. Hey, boy.
They took the dog back to the firehouse and cleaned it up before turning it over to a local rescue. Now to tonight's Prime Playlist Shuffle, where we sit down with artists transforming the music industry. Grammy-nominated artist, producer, and multi-instrumentalist Masego burst onto the scene almost 10 years ago with his hit, Tadao, and quickly became known for his innovative and spontaneous live looping music. Now he's back with his highly anticipated third studio album. It's called Fix Your Face. Rooted in his Jamaican heritage, the 16-track project, 3 years in the making, blends hints of gospel, R&B, and hip-hop for some of his most personal music yet. Let's listen to one of his singles. It's called Breathe.
Can I live? Can I breathe? Get a minute. Can I breathe?
Our Linsey Davis sat down with a musician to talk about his next chapter.
And Masego joins us now in studio. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
Pleasure.
How you doing?
Manners and respect.
I know you said you are in it. You are in the thick of things right now. And we know that this latest album was born in part out of tragedy. You lost
Absolutely.
your home during the LA fires.
Mm.
How did you channel your emotions, would you say, into the music?
You just pick an instrument up and let God do the rest. I think I wasn't planning to speak about the tragedy in my life, but I think naturally it comes out in the music eventually. And so I spent a lot of time with the guitar in particular. I play a lot of instruments. I know we just met today.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I know. I'm aware.
I choose a different instrument based on what I need to get through. And to get through those particular tragedies, it was a lot of guitar. And
why guitar?
I don't know. I don't know the science to it, but I feel like I felt the most safe with guitar. And it was easy to kind of pour out how I was feeling. And a lot of Nat King Cole covers kind of led to it too.
Something else that we know about you is you're known for a lot of freestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Normally, but here you actually started writing down. How was the process different this time around?
Well, I love freestyle. I love hip hop. I came up under Jazzy Jeff, and I love all that lineage. And I feel like as I'm studying people within that same peer group, I was like, okay, they all write music. I need to figure out how to tap into and strengthen this muscle. And so a lot of D'Angelo, a lot of Stevie Wonder, a lot of Lauryn Hill, a lot of Amy Winehouse, all writers. So I wanted to do right by the people that I admire and try to strengthen a different muscle.
Fix Your Face is a common expression in the Black community. What made you decide, I'm going to name my album Fix Your Face?
It always happens last. You make the music first, and you're like, what do we call this thing? What is the theme, the thesis? And I said Fix Your Face in my record QVC, and it kind of stuck out to me as, oh, this might be the one to kind of, be the loudest phrase to say this is what this whole thing is about. It just kind of came naturally, but I always think about before church, I just got a whooping, but I couldn't cry in front of these people, so I was like, that was my first Fix Your Face moment, and it felt like the album.
You've said that you've studied from D'Angelo to, speaking of church, Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
How would you say that their sound influenced what you created here?
I think sincerity, vulnerability, and not hiding behind talent and bravado, which is my usual. I can just play a saxophone solo. I don't have to speak to you, and I just hear the instruments. But I think there's something so fearless about saying, this is my story, I wrote it, and I'm singing it in front of you. And all of those artists do that, I think, effortlessly.
There has been so much chatter about how to actually pronounce your name, from how people say it in South Africa to how your grandmother might say it to how Americans might say it. Give us the different options and what you personally, how you really want to be referred to.
I got you. It starts the same way, Mas.
Okay.
But based on where I'm at, it might be Masego in America, it might be Masego in South Africa, and if I'm in Brazil, it's Maseguinho. So I call myself Mas.
Okay,
and depending on where I'm at, I do my social code switch, and we do what we do.
And Mas in Spanish obviously means more.
More.
We'll
more
take
instruments.
more. We'll take more. And speaking of more, you're about to go, or you're in the thick of it, actually already on tour, 40+ dates.
Yes.
What is it like to actually connect, especially in such a personal, intimate way, with your fans on stage?
I think the best part about all of this is when people catch the Easter eggs you leave in the music. I love doing that. Again, a testament to hip hop. There's so many things to return to in the music, and then during the shows, you hear them catch the ad-libs or the metaphor here or the deeper meaning. And as we go to city, you start to see them kind of, oh, wait, you said this. Oh, I don't have to sing this part anymore. So you just get to see your song grow up like a kid, you know?
Mas, we want Mas. We will take more and more of what you're putting out. Thank you. What a pleasure to meet you. Really appreciate it. You can listen to his new album, Fix Your Face, wherever you get your music, and tickets for his tour are on sale now.
Our thanks to Linsey and Masego for that conversation. That's our show for this hour. I'm Perry Russum. Stay with ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you for streaming with us.